Rhea Ripley's shocking betrayal, the Wyatt 6 next move revealed? 5 potential endings to the 6-woman tag team match on WWE SmackDown. WWE Friday Night SmackDown will air later tonight, and it will feature the final build ahead of Money in the Bank tomorrow. With that comes the news that stars from both Raw and the Blue brand will be in the house. Not only that, but it has been revealed that a 6-woman tag team match will be taking place. Rhea Ripley will team up with Alexa Bliss and Stephanie Vaquer to take on the trio of Giulia, Roxanne Perez, and Naomi. This bout will be interesting for a number of reasons, especially as it will set the tone and be a good preview for the women's Money in the Bank ladder match tomorrow. All 6 women are set to be involved in that bout. How will tonight's match conclude? This article will take a look at a handful of different ways the big 6-woman tag team match could end, which could even include interference from the Wyatt 6. Below are 5 potential endings to the 6-woman tag team match on WWE SmackDown. The babyface team could win clean. The babyface side of the 6-woman tag team match on WWE SmackDown is absolutely stacked. For starters, it features Ripley, who is the biggest star in women's wrestling today. She is also a near unstoppable force. The other 2 members of the team are great in their own right. Stephanie Vaquer is a former NXT Women's Champion and has won titles wherever she has wrestled in her career. Meanwhile, Alexa Bliss is a multi-time world champion in WWE. They've all had a lot of success. With so much talent on the babyface side, they could just ultimately win clean without any chaos, confusion, or controversy. For example, Ripley and Bliss could fend off Giulia and Naomi while Vaquer nails her backbreaker finisher on Perez for the 1-2-3. Naomi could be chased off by Jade Cargill, leaving her partners to lose. Naomi is a veteran in World Wrestling Entertainment. She made her NXT debut back in the 3rd season of the series prior to it becoming a proper brand. In the time since then, she has won tag gold and world titles. Recently, Naomi has been feuding with Jade Cargill, and the 2 can't stop taking shots at each other, verbally, online, and physically. They are constantly at war in WWE. Their rivalry could come into play on SmackDown tonight. Cargill could come out while Naomi is trying to cheat. The Glow might then run away from the ringside area, thus leaving Giulia and Perez to fend for themselves and inevitably lose in the 3-on-2 situation. Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez could accidentally cost Roxanne Perez the win. Roxanne Perez is one of WWE Raw's newest stars. She signed with the Adam Pearce-led brand and has almost immediately found herself embroiled with the Judgment Day. Finn Balor and Perez seem to be fast friends. However, the same can't be said for the Prodigy and Liv Morgan. Liv doesn't trust Roxanne, and thus Raquel Rodriguez doesn't either. This was made worse by Perez accidentally costing the Miracle Kid her singles bout against Kairi Sane on a recent episode of WWE Raw. On SmackDown, Morgan and Rodriguez could be in the building and return the favor. They could come out during the 6-woman tag team match and accidentally distract Perez. Vaquer or Bliss could then pick up a quick victory. Alexa Bliss could become distracted by the Wyatt 6. Alexa Bliss is another veteran of the ring. She has held the WWE Women's Tag Team title and both the Raw and SmackDown Women's Championships on multiple occasions. Bliss is also a former Money in the Bank winner. Prior to Little Miss Bliss returning to WWE television, it was expected that she'd be part of the Wyatt 6. However, that hasn't happened yet. With that being said, the Eerie stable could still want Alexa to join and could haunt her on SmackDown tonight. During the 6-woman tag team match, Nikki Cross and Uncle Howdy could appear in the stands. Alexa, completely distracted, could either follow them or get rolled up. Her focus might be on the stable, and it could lead to a possessed-like state that costs her team the win. Rhea Ripley could shockingly turn heel on her teammates on WWE SmackDown. Rhea Ripley is the most popular female performer in WWE today. She is also a multi-time world champion and has headlined Elimination Chamber, won the Royal Rumble, and held Tag Team Gold. The dominant Ripley is beloved by fans, but that doesn't guarantee that she won't go back to being a heel. She is naturally aggressive and cruel, and that behavior could be on display tonight. During the bout, she could shockingly attack Bliss and Vaquer after miscommunication or to soften them up ahead of Money in the Bank. A heel turn would then allow an easy victory for their opponents, especially if Rhea decimates her partners and proceeds to walk. Rhea Ripley does not need the WWE Money in the Bank briefcase. Mami always comes out on top, but perhaps she doesn't need to in the Money in the Bank ladder match. The Money in the Bank briefcase can be a valuable item when placed in the right hands. It has created huge moments and embarrassments along the way. There are hopes that things will be different in 2025, but there's a growing concern about Triple H's creative direction. The 2025 Money in the Bank PLE hasn't created the most optimism, with just 4 matches and no major title defenses set for the show. However, there's a major talking point about who will take the briefcases. In the women's match, it should be anyone but Rhea Ripley. Look, everyone gets it. Mami always comes out on top. But is the Money in the Bank match a show in which she needs to win again? Keyword, needs. When looking at it from that angle, the answer is a firm no. Rhea Ripley is one of those performers who it is nearly impossible to talk about online. Mention one thing that may be seen as negative and a swath of her fans will rain down upon you with snark, anger, and much more. Sure, she's popular. One of the biggest stars in sports entertainment, but she doesn't need to win everything. Especially when she is what could be considered a made woman. Ripley is always within title shot, and that's understandable at this point in her run. WWE is heading to her home country of Australia in a few months. Crown Jewel will take place in Perth. The focus should be building her up for that moment where she will most likely stand firm at the end of the show, holding the WWE Women's World Championship. She doesn't need to have the briefcase for that moment to happen. That victory should go to someone else. If not Rhea Ripley, then who? There are some capable options for who should win the women's Money in the Bank. This is a stacked group of performers. Naomi and Stephanie Vaquer are perhaps the favorites. Naomi is presenting herself as an interesting heel, injecting her WWE tenure with some of her best work to date. Seeing her capture the briefcase and eventually the championship would be a huge career accolade. Plus, it would open the door to some interesting angles with Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. Then there's Stephanie Vaquer. WWE has continued to build her up as a major name. She took over WWE NXT, and the minute she stepped into WWE Monday Night Raw, that momentum continued. Fans love her, and she's riding that wave to success in a way that has caught many off guard. If she takes the briefcase, it would be interesting to see if she would be poised to pick up a championship if and when WWE takes a trip south of the border. Rhea Ripley does not need the Money in the Bank briefcase. She's going to get a WWE championship back at some point before the year ends. With that in mind, the briefcase is best in the hands of one of the other women in the match. They need it more than Mami. WWE Money in the Bank 2025, Naomi is the perfect name to win the briefcase. There is a lot of anticipation for the women's Money in the Bank, and Naomi is the perfect name to pick up the win. The 2025 edition of the Women's Money in the Bank is shaping up to be an excellent match. Not only does it feature top names, but it sets up the potential for multiple storylines coming out of the show. With Stephanie Vaquer, Roxanne Perez, Rhea Ripley, Giulia, and Alexa Bliss in the match, there are a lot of ways it can go. However, Naomi is the perfect name for taking the briefcase for 2025, building on a lot that has happened in the last few months. The Money in the Bank is the perfect stipulation match to build new names and help push established stars into the main event. The 2025 match has performers that sit in both of those two important buckets, and its outcome will impact the immediate direction of the main roster women's division. This match should also solve a big problem for the women's division. The group lacks any real stories outside of the title picture. It seems like either someone is challenging for the main championships or they are off television. There really isn't an in-between, even with the development of the Women's United States and Intercontinental Championships. This match has the potential to do a few different things. First, while Roxanne Perez, Giulia, and Stephanie Vaquer are three well-known names, they have all only been on the main roster for a few weeks. Seeing all three of them in this match makes it clear that WWE sees them as top talent already. They each come with a wealth of talent to deserve that spot, but it is wonderful to see WWE finally infusing some new blood into the top of the women's division. Then there's Alexa Bliss, who fans continue to rave about for her lack of utilization on SmackDown. Triple H cannot behave like he's forgotten about one of the most important women on the roster in recent years. Fans want to see her featured in a prominent role in this match, plus the developing angle with Charlotte Flair should help her get there. Even still, this should be Naomi's match to win this year. With all of that said, Naomi is the one who needs this victory the most. She's the one who makes the most sense to put that briefcase in her hands this year. Naomi's heel turn is one of the freshest characters in the promotion. She's giving fans a new look at what she can do, which not only helps her, but helps the likes of Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair at the same time. There's a huge angle to tell between those three women, and surprisingly, Naomi's work has carried much of the angle so far. It will be interesting to see where they go, and putting that briefcase in Naomi's hands would make it a central angle for the future.